There's nothing more American than PBS. It's a safe place where kids learn and grow, and where grown-ups are informed, entertained, and inspired. PBS is one of America's greatest resources for 50 years strong, and PBS needs your help to keep going for another 50.
We will have done a great service
for our future. Visit Protect My Public Media to learn more, because there's nothing more American than PBS.
Continuing his visit to Washington, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with Vice President J.D. Vance and Speaker of the House Mike Johnson today. Netanyahu's trip, his third this year, comes as Israel and Hamas are negotiating the terms of a ceasefire proposal. Yesterday, the Prime Minister floated the idea of resettling Palestinians abroad in foreign countries, a move he said was supported by the United States. Netanyahu is expected to meet with President Trump again tonight. Lisa Desjardins reports.
Today in Washington, efforts to address and end the bloody Israel-Gaza war.
Gaza is a tragedy. It's a tragedy. And he wants to get it solved, and I want to get it solved, and I think the other side wants to get it solved.
He is Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, today meeting with leaders across the capital.
Hamas will not rule there. We will do what is necessary to make this happen. We will use all our possible force, and if possible, that of others, to realize this goal. There will be no Hamas, and I say it again because people are saying we can stop, we can leave. We will defeat them so they can no longer fight us. This is a goal we will not give up on.
This as other Israeli officials continue indirect ceasefire talks with Hamas in Doha. The U.S.-backed proposal would see a 60-day ceasefire, with Hamas releasing hostages intermittently for 50 days in exchange for Palestinian detainees. There would be a humanitarian surge of aid from both the United Nations and the U.S.-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. There is no guarantee of a permanent ceasefire, but President Trump would mediate until a final agreement is reached. And the Israeli military would deploy to areas of Gaza on the first and seventh day of the ceasefire. But U.S. officials warned the NewsHour that there is no day-after plan and that the war could very well restart in 2 months. And last night, while at dinner with Mr. Trump, Netanyahu promoted the resettlement of Gazans abroad.
We're working with the United States very closely about finding countries that will seek to realize what they always say, that they want to give the Palestinians a better future.
A sentiment supported by Trump.
And we've had great cooperation from surrounding Israel, surrounding countries, great cooperation from every single one of them. So something good will happen.
But both Hamas and humanitarian groups have rejected the resettlement proposal in the past, calling it ethnic cleansing. Meanwhile, in Gaza, unrelenting death and destruction. An Israeli strike early this morning on a school-turned-shelter in a refugee camp killed at least 9 people, 4 of them children. According to the Gaza Ministry of Health, at least 52 Gazans have been killed in the past 24 hours alone. And according to a World Food Program report, nearly 500,000 Gazans are expected to face catastrophic hunger. These parents lost their infant last week to malnutrition. Aid is scarce, and often it is an immense risk to collect it. Over 500 Palestinians have been killed near aid distribution points in the past 6 weeks. Thousands of Israelis nationwide there protested this week to stop the fighting and release the hostages. Many are calling for the violence to end, but here, bloodshed is still a part of daily life. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Lisa Desjardins.
Also today, President Trump ramped up criticism of Russian President Vladimir Putin after reversing course on sending additional weapons to Ukraine. Trump told reporters last night the U.S. needs to send more weapons to Kyiv to defend against intensifying Russian attacks. The Pentagon announced last week it would pause deliveries of certain weapons. In a cabinet meeting today, Trump did not say whether he knew about that pause in advance. He also criticized the way Putin is carrying out the war.
He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless. He's not treating human beings right. He's killing too many people. So we're sending some defensive weapons to Ukraine, and I've approved that.
The president has often questioned the value of sending more military aid to Ukraine and has openly praised Putin in the past. Trump also said today he's considering whether to support more sanctions on Russia. The Supreme Court cleared the way today for President Trump's plan to fire hundreds of thousands of federal workers. The justices lifted a lower court order that had temporarily blocked the layoffs. The job cuts were led by the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, and targeted employees at the Departments of State, Treasury, and others. The court said it was not weighing the validity of specific cuts, and technically the measure is temporary while other legal challenges play out. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was the only dissenting vote, writing that the order promises, quote, the dismantling of much of the federal government as Congress had created it. The U.S. State Department is warning its employees that an unknown person has been using artificial intelligence to impersonate Secretary of State Marco Rubio. According to a cable seen by the Associated Press, the imposter tried to contact at least 3 foreign ministers, plus a U.S. senator and a governor. Officials say the unknown individual sent voice and text messages last month using AI-powered software to mimic Rubio's speech and writing style. They say the person was likely trying to manipulate government officials to gain, quote, access to information or accounts. The State Department says it is investigating the incident. The International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants today for 2 top Taliban officials in Afghanistan. The judges accused the group's supreme leader, Hibatullah Akhundzada, and the country's Chief Justice, Abdul Hakim Haqqani, of persecuting women and girls and targeting those who defy the Taliban's policies on gender, gender identity, or expression. Since the Taliban retook power 4 years ago, they've largely banned girls from attending school beyond the 6th grade and limited women's access to public places. The court says those actions are evidence of crimes against humanity. Blistering temperatures have returned to Europe after last week's heat wave claimed at least 8 lives across the continent. In Athens, the sun beamed down on tourists as they were ushered out of the Acropolis. Authorities closed the country's most visited ancient site from 1 p.m. local time as temperatures hovered near 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Meanwhile, in France, hot and dry conditions helped fuel wildfires overnight and into today. The flames reached the outskirts of Marseille on the southern coast, forcing its main airport to close. On Wall Street today, stocks ended mixed as investors digest President Trump's latest tariff plans. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 165 points on the day. The Nasdaq managed a slight gain of nearly 6 points. The S&P 500 closed just barely in negative territory. And some welcome news for weary travelers. The Transportation Security Administration, or TSA, is finally ditching its shoes-off screening policy. TSA has required flyers to shed their shoes since 2006, several years after a British-born terrorist, dubbed the Shoe Bomber, tried to take down a flight from Paris to Miami. This evening, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said the change is long overdue.
We are excited with the fact that we have the technology now, that we have the multi-layers of screening in place that we've built in over the recent several years that give us the ability to allow our travelers to keep their shoes on.
Noem added that the new policy is being rolled out nationwide with immediate effect and added that other security mandates like liquid limits and removing laptops are also being evaluated. Still to come on the NewsHour, how a massive budget boost from Republican legislation could impact immigration enforcement. A new look at basketball star Caitlin Clark's extraordinary journey, plus much more.
This is the PBS NewsHour from the David M. Rubenstein studio at WETA in Washington and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.